Young farm goat.
What's up?
How's it going?
It's going good. Just drinking water.
Nice. Sorry I'm late. It was a little podcast related though, so that's good.
Oh, that's good.
I refused to walk away from the episode I was watching, and it was hurting like every minute. I was going, no, the time ticks away.
I see. I see.
Yeah.
Fair enough. It's okay to miss the podcast if you're watching movies or TV. And that's not even me joking. That's serious.
Well, it's just like we started the episode, and I was looking at the time, and then I had to like take care of my my dish, like mid episode, and it shaved off or it added just enough time to to put it like right to the wire. So it's all good though.
Hell yeah. It's okay. I'm usually late, so it doesn't matter. Yeah.
Tardiness.
I feel like is it supposed to rain right now?
It looks like it's gonna rain.
It really does.
Yeah, it's not as quite as sunny as it was like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's always fun.
Super, more rain. Just what we need here in Michigan.
Well, God, I feel like honestly, like out of everywhere, I'll take the rain right now. It seems like the rest of the world's like dying.
True.
Like the ocean's on fire, California's on fire.
Speaking of the rain, though, it had softened up the ground so much in this region. So the other day I was on my way to a mutual friend's house.
Yeah.
There's only 2 ways in, and I was like 1 turn away from being in their driveway, and there was no shit like the biggest fucking oak tree I've ever seen in the road. Just
Jesus.
There.
Yeah,
that just happened. So I had to go the other way.
Yeah, it doesn't help that like construction in Michigan right now is fucking garbage. Welcome to the podcast where we talk about really regional things that no one can relate to.
Anybody else out there hate road construction and rain?
Yeah, if you're from Michigan, you know our roads suck. They always will suck. It's because I don't know why.
That's our mantra.
It is.
Don't fix the roads.
Our current governor literally ran on fixing the roads. Yeah. All right. Well, that's your Michigan corner, everyone. This is a movie podcast. Okay, what's a good Michigan movie? Evil Dead? That's not set in Michigan. Yeah. Fuck. That's set in Tennessee.
Escanaba and the Moonlight. Starring Jeff Daniels and Ray Romano. It is so funny. Check it out.
I mean, yeah, really, Jeff Daniels is from Michigan. Oh, Gross Point Blank?
Is that actually... That makes sense.
I'm pretty sure it's like set in Grosse Pointe, which is Detroit.
Interesting. Four Brothers takes place in Detroit.
Yeah, all right. We now have to look up Michigan movies.
Transformers many of the scenes in Transformers were shot in Michigan.
8 Mile
doesn't take place here though. 8 Mile.
The new Red Dawn for some reason.
Why in the world would people want to invade here?
Yeah,
of all the places in the United States, why here?
Let's just invade Michigan when you're not on the coast, literally in the center of the United States. RoboCop.
It's because they know we don't have like a continental navy, right? That patrols like the lakes. The Great Lakes don't have a navy to patrol them.
I feel like we do for some stupid reason. RoboCop, yes, RoboCop, one of the greatest films of all time. How did I forget about that one? That one is Detroit. We actually have a statue of RoboCop in Detroit. That's how much.
It's a real thing. Philly has Rocky. We have RoboCop.
Hell yeah, The Crow.
What?
I didn't know The Crow was. I guess I haven't seen The Crow in a very long time.
I didn't even know that.
Yep, Grosse Point Blank. I was right.
That makes sense. I mean, it is a place in this state.
Oh, this one's counting Beverly Hills Cop.
Okay, part of it is in Detroit. I get
that's because Eddie Murphy is from. Yeah, Eddie Murphy's character is from Detroit.
Axel Foley.
Yeah. It Follows. Yeah. Okay. It Follows is like a really good horror movie. That one is.
Don't speak. Is that what it's called? Don't Breathe. Yeah.
That one's getting a sequel. We'll talk about that.
Yeah. Perfect segue.
Yeah. All right. Welcome in everyone to Ruining Movies. Surprisingly, a podcast not about Michigan, but a podcast about movies. If you're new to Ruining Movies, here your host, me, Zach, him, Shayne, talk about Yeah, that's him. Talk about the movie of the week, and with the help of you, wonderful audience, we ruin that movie by remaking it, making a prequel or a sequel, and in the genre of your choice. You guys all vote on that in our Discord. This week, we're doing 2001: A Space Odyssey. But before we get into dissecting that little-known sci-fi flick, let's talk about what we've been watching. This goes out to you, Chad. This goes out to you, Shane. What have you been watching? What have you been enjoying? What have you been doing?
So I'll start off with the easy one. The reason I was late to this podcast was because I refused to walk away from this episode of Black Summer, which I mentioned on the last podcast.
Yeah, you were talking about the last podcast.
Yeah, I've been making my way through the second season, but it's been a busy couple weeks, as most of you know.
For sure.
We're recording this 2 days after the 4th of July, so it's been busy. But we've been making our way through it, and it's been great. No, I did not watch Independence Day. Although I did watch the new Independence Day, starring Chris Pratt. The Tomorrow War.
Isn't that like movie like this is supposed to be like incredibly bad?
Whoa. I don't know what the general consensus was, but I mean it wasn't incredibly good.
I think the general consensus is like a 2 out of 10.
Whoa. I mean, I know that the commercial said that Chris Pratt was like an action hero excellence or something, and like I can agree with that. I don't know. He's pretty much good wherever he goes, though. I like Chris Pratt. Yeah, that's the crazy thing, right? They had like a pretty solid cast. Like J.K. Simmons was in it, which was kind of hilarious. I saw him and I was like, "Oh shit, haven't seen you in 2 weeks."
Yeah, really.
But I was enjoying it. And it's just kind of there's a lot of places that it falls apart, and it's hard to just like turn my brain off when like every time someone says something, I'm asking a question. I'm like, wait a second, what? That doesn't hold on, what? And that happened a lot, and I don't know. The action scenes were kind of cool. There was lots of explosions. If I didn't know it was directed by someone else, I would have thought it was directed by Michael Bay.
Let's see who did it. So okay, maybe general consensus is like a 50%. Maybe it's just my circles who've been ragging on it.
It's not the worst movie I've ever seen, but it's also not the best movie I've ever seen.
Directed by Chris McKay, who made the Lego Batman movie, which I just spoke very highly of.
Highly of, yeah.
What the?
I don't know if it's actually gonna be like the best movie of the summer, like they're claiming it's going to be.
I've heard fucking claims that, for
especially since I don't remember when it comes out, but we know like the Green Knight is on the horizon and things like that. So I don't know if it's actually gonna hold up with that title, but
it's not
okay.
It's not.
It was okay. I would give it. You said that the general consensus is about 50-50. Yeah, I'd give it
it's about like 50%, sitting around 50% on Metacritic and Rotten Tomatoes.
I'd give it like a 5 out of 10, maybe a 6 if I'm being real generous to Chris Pratt in the way that I was generous to Dave Bautista for Army of the Dead.
Okay, fair enough. So it's like a generic blockbuster.
Yeah,
summer blockbuster.
That's a perfect way to sum it up. Grab some popcorn, turn your brain off. Don't ask too many questions.
For sure. Nice. All right.
Is that? There's the rain. That's not all that I watched. I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey, obviously. I know there's other stuff, but those are like the two main ones. The what?
The sequel to 2001.
That's a thing?
Yeah, it's a 2000.
I know that there was a book.
A Space Odyssey.
No,
it's 2010, the year we made contact.
Huh. I wish you had mentioned that like any time before today.
I mean, you don't have to watch it. It's not worth anything. I mean, I would say it's probably better than most, but it's still.
Huh. Interesting. I didn't even know that existed. I didn't really look into too much. I just kind of soaked in the movie, and that was that.
It's like the Doctor Sleep to The Shining. Like I heard Doctor Sleep was actually good.
Doctor Sleep was sweet. I like that movie.
It will never be 2001. So like, why make it?
Right. Yeah. I will say there's something on my list that I didn't get to see that I'm genuinely disappointed about. I wanted to watch the first movie of Fear Street.
Oh my god, it was so good.
Was it? Don't spoil it. I'm so
I'm not going
excited.
to.
I'm so pumped about it. And like I
Yeah.
said, like as everybody knows, it's been kind of a hectic week this week, so I just haven't
It's a
had the
crazy week.
chance to
Yeah.
sit down and watch it, but maybe tomorrow. I think I'm gonna do it tomorrow.
I would recommend it, honestly.
Very
So
excited.
that is one of the things I watched was Fear Street Part 1. I went into it kind of just being like, okay, whatever. It's like an hour and a half. If it's
The
bad,
trailer
it's
really pumped me up.
bad. Yeah. But what came out. It was pretty damn good. I'm a big fan of slashers. I mean, I'm even wearing my Scream 2 shirt right now.
Nice. I'm wearing my Michigan State shirt.
Nice.
I didn't go to Michigan State.
But Matthew Lillard did, I think.
That's why I'm wearing the shirt, to match you.
Yeah, exactly. Scream. But so like I like slashers, and this movie really seemed to be pulling from the like 90s slashers because it's set in the 90s.
Okay, cool. I like that.
More blood and gore than I thought they were gonna do with an R.L. Stine film, which is A+ for me. You need blood and gore for slasher flicks. I think it did a really good job. I'm really excited for part 2 that comes out Friday.
Awesome. I definitely want to make a point of it to check that out over the next few days before the next one comes out, because I'd like to watch that as well.
Yeah, the next one is in the 80s. So the first one, they really seem to play off like the newer slashers, like 2000s and 90s. Like I said, felt very a lot of homages to Scream in particular. I'm not gonna. Well, this isn't even a spoiler, but very similar start to the first Fear Street, with its very similar start to Scream.
Nice. Okay. I will say, since I was just talking about the trailer, kind of getting me pumped up.
Yeah.
When we had talked about this, like our preliminary conversation before I ever watched the trailer, as you were like describing it to me, when we were talking about it, the 1660s part was like not zinging out to me. You know, I wasn't like, oh wow, that sounds so amazing. But then I watched the trailer, and honestly, like I'm hyped for the whole thing. But I think I'm like way more excited for the old timey stuff. It looks really, really crazy.
Yeah. So, like how I talked about, like it's a pretty good slasher. It's also a pretty good mystery. The first one definitely leaves you wanting to like. It's part of the reason why I can't wait for Friday to watch the second part, is because the first part leads with a mystery. I think it can stand alone as a good horror film. I mean, the ending kind of makes it kind of weird if you were going to do a standalone thing, but I think for the most part, it's like a standalone film. It was pretty okay. But it leading into next week, where we could go back 10 years back to learn a little bit more about the mystery. I'm excited. Then we go back like 200 years. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, it's really ringing to me in a different way after I watched the most recent trailer.
Yeah.
I'm excited to dig into it. But you can take it away from here, because that was a perfect segue into
definitely.
Not having anything else on the list.
So yeah, I watched Fear Street Part 1, like I just said. I liked it. Yesterday, 2 days ago, on July 4th, I watched The Shining, because it's the 100th anniversary of the party in The Shining on July 4th.
Oh, nice.
For those who don't know, Shining is also like my favorite horror film of all time. So I watched that movie. I watched Solaris, which is a Soviet. People call it a reaction to 2001: A Space Odyssey. I've seen it a couple times, but I wanted to rewatch it after watching 2001. I recommend it. It came out 4 years after 2001: A Space Odyssey. It's less about like the grand scheme of things. Like 2001 is very much a movie about humanity and space. Solaris is more about individuals in space and the psyche of it. It's really good. It's in Russian. It's about 3 hours long. Recommend it.
Was there not a remake with like George Clooney?
I think there is, and it's like there was a remake. There was a remake of it. Was Clooney in it? Let's see. 2002. By Steven Soderbergh. Yep, George Clooney.
Hell yeah. Oh, my brain just works in the fucking most mysterious ways sometimes.
Yeah, so I don't even know how they remade it, because the first Solaris was made by Andrei Tarkovsky, which is one of the Soviet Union's greatest filmmakers, probably equivalent to Stanley Kubrick. That's kind of wild. That's kind of like remaking 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Interesting.
I haven't seen it. It got a 6.2, so I guess it's not horrible, but that's weird. I don't even know. Like Solaris, once you watch it, is such a like. Like, if you watch 2001, if anyone watches 2001 and thinks it's, like, really long and boring and just, like, too full of itself, like, you would hate Solaris. Because it's all those things, like, times 5. Yeah, so I watched, Fear Street, Shining.
I have to interject quickly.
Yeah.
I have to put this out there.
Yeah.
Disclaimer, I might lose power.
Oh, no. All right. Well, disclaimer is like 2 weeks.
Outside.
Disclaimer is 2 weeks ago, because storms are ravaging the Midwest. If the podcast stops, we've been abducted by aliens. The monolith has come. We've touched it, and we're gone. We're now space babies.
Man, I'm in.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a good disclaimer because if you do, I'm probably gonna lose it also. So, fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I watched.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good. I watched a lot of good auteur films. 2001, The Shining, and Solaris. And then when I've not been watching those, I've been watching Supernatural.
What's a tour?
Auteur. It's like high art.
Okay, cool. Like, I learned so many new things on this podcast.
Yeah,
I love it.
Like auteur, like let me find the actual definition.
Well, like when you say that word next to those specific things, I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So, an auteur, is like how I used it, like auteur filmmaking. It's usually described as filmmakers, auteur filmmakers. Like Stanley Kubrick is an auteur filmmaker. Andrei Tarkovsky is also an auteur filmmaker. And the definition is an auteur is an artist who applies a highly centralized and subjective control to many aspects of a collaborative creative work. In other words, a person equivalent to an author or a novel or a play. So it's like a filmmaker that is so confident in their filmmaking that they control every aspect of it to a T and usually get really highly artistic films from it.
Okay. Got it. Not to be confused with avant-garde, another vocabulary word that we've learned on this podcast.
Yes, avant-garde is not the way you could describe a filmmaker as avant-garde, but avant-garde is like it's a movement in art. It's it's a style of art and filmmaking.
I only said it because it's just one of the things I remember specifically learning.
Hell yeah, edutainment, everyone.
Exactly. That's why you're here, to be edutated.
Edutated. Anyway, but I've been watching Supernatural, which I don't think is auteur, or
Probably
avant-garde.
not.
It is. So this is my second time watching Supernatural, not like all the way through. A couple years ago, I watched the first season of Supernatural, and I could never get past the stupid film grain they put on their show. Like, I get it. Like, they're doing, like, working class X-Files. Like, yeah. And I'm cool with that. I just could never get past it. But I finally got past it. I'm on season 5 right now, and they've jumped the shark, and I've been enjoying it.
Jumped the shark?
Yeah, jump the shark is when you kind of just go off the rails with it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, because I think I mentioned this the last time we talked about Supernatural.
Yeah.
I watched like the first probably like half a dozen seasons years and years ago, and I just took like a 6-year hiatus.
Yeah.
And then I came back and started watching it, and like the tail end of my time was like way more over the top than I remember the beginning part being.
Oh yeah, it's where I'm at right now. It's like before it was like they're hunting werewolves like every other episode. Right now there's like a war between angels and devils, and they're trying to find God. So
nice.
It's
hell yeah.
They've really jumped the shark at this point. Which for those who don't know, jump the shark is another TV trope, movie saying. It's based off of Happy Days when Fonzie jumped over a literal shark. People say TV shows and content jump a shark when they kind of lose the basis of reality for their TV show and kind of go crazy. So, like, Community kind of jumped the shark when they did the weird, I think season 4 or something, where it got really strange, even though it was strange before. But yeah, jumping the shark. More stuff to learn.
Yeah. Here we are. More terms. Need to keep a list, a vocab list. You should quiz me in a few weeks.
Yeah, we'll have our first quiz soon. But other than that, that's all I've been really watching. I've been grinding through Supernatural. God, excuse me, grinding through Supernatural.
I mean, how you really feel.
Yeah, really. which has been good. I like me a Monster of the Week show, and Supernatural is scratching that itch. And there's only 10 more seasons of it, so I'll be good for a bit.
Yeah, I will say when I was DMing a lot of D&D, that Supernatural kind of took over my like nighttime TV spot.
Nice.
Just to like keep me in that zone of like having a monster to think about often.
Yeah, I mean it's good. I mean, those are my kind of like bread and butter go-to shows when I need something to watch at night or when I'm working on something. Is like those procedural supernatural shows. Like I just got through all of Lucifer, which feels in the same vein. I usually do a watch through of Buffy and Angel like every couple of years. I've seen X-Files more times than I can count. So it's just like Supernatural is the next step. I guess Supernatural's there too. Like I said, it's working class X-Files, which I like it. I dig it. I will have to say they do really push that sometimes with Dean, where it's like he's just like listening to like Leonard Skinner and drinking and driving, and it's like, okay, I get it, but I'm cool with it.
Dean is hilarious, and he's about to be in The Boys.
I'm a Sam stan.
Yeah. He was in like Superman or some shit.
Yeah, I like both of them. I like Sam and Dean, but
they have good chemistry. I think they jive well together. They're a decent pair for.
You'd hope so. They have 15 seasons.
Yeah, it works. I mean, can you think of a show with two people that went for a really long time that didn't have chemistry?
No, probably if I thought hard enough, but no. There's probably like some really shitty show that like there is some weird like poor chemistry. The View. Yeah, I mean, okay, but that's like 7 of them. I don't know how many people are on The View. Does it keep expanding? Is it like an evolutionary thing? Like every year they add. That's how they need to do The View. Every year The View is on, they need to add someone new to it.
Add someone to it. More views, please.
Exactly. So it could start off with like 4, but now like what? It's like probably on like season like 10 or 15. Just like 20 people.
When I was a kid, it was like Barbara Walters or something, or Joan Rivers. And then later on in my life, it was Rosie O'Donnell and like Oprah. And now it's like the girl from Sister Sister.
And it has what's her face? Ozzy's wife.
Sharon.
Sharon.
Bacon and egg, Sharon.
Let's see, how long, so The View has been going on since 1997. So if we did our rules of adding a new member every year, we would be sitting at around
24 new members?
28 people around the table. That is what The View needs to stay fresh. 28 people just yelling at each other. I'd watch that. I don't even know what they talk about, but I'd watch that.
Their views.
Their views. I need 28 views. It doesn't matter. I don't care about 4 views. I want 28 people yelling about their views.
And I want to hear them all at the same time.
Yeah, I don't want
mainlined into my brain.
Exactly. I don't want them to talk over, like, stop talking when someone else starts talking. I just want them to keep talking and just boom. The View. Well, I think that's all I've been watching.
The View.
I like actually can't remember. It's only been 2 weeks, but why does it feel like I've watched more?
That's what I was thinking too, but those were just like the things that stood out in my mind.
I'm like opening up Netflix to see if I was watched anything else.
There's nothing like too prominent, I don't think, that I've really checked out.
I want to watch Evil, but like I haven't watched that yet. That's just something I want to watch.
I heard that was good.
Yeah, I heard that's actually really good. It has the guy who played Luke Cage in it.
Yep. And he is he's solid actor.
Yeah, I liked Luke Cage. I know some people didn't, but I liked it. All right. Well, let's move on and talk about some movie news. Surprisingly, we don't have too much exciting movie news. We'll also talk about Loki for anyone who's interested in knowing our thoughts on Loki episode 3 and 4. We will talk about that after we get through this area. Get through this next part. But the first trailer I want to talk about, and really the only trailer, well, there's 2 trailers we're going to talk about, The other one's television. The first movie trailer I want to talk about, I wrote on our list, we just hijacked a plane, but there are vampires aboard. Did you see the trailer I sent you for Blood Red Sky?
So, did you send it to me?
It's in the link. It's in our show notes.
Oh, no.
Okay. I'm gonna post this in our chats for.
It looks scary.
Okay, yeah. So
That's a scary thumbnail.
Yeah, I'll give a play-by-play on what this trailer's about because it really seemed interesting to me in a way that looks really fucking funny. So it is a film, I think it's in French or Italian, that is about a plane being hijacked. The hijackers are taking the plane. We don't really know why they're taking the plane. But the first half of the trailer is like, oh no, hijackers on a plane, and then one of the there's like the main characters seem to be a mother and a son or a daughter, I can't remember, a child, if you will.
It's her son.
Okay, thank you. I watched this like a week ago. So she gets it taken away, then she like gets put on the back and she's like shot, and then she turns into a vampire. And then it's like vampire versus hijackers, and I just think that's the craziest concept for a film.
Wow.
Yeah, it's called Blood Red Sky. I have
Protect
no idea.
Her son.
Yeah, I have no idea if it will be good at all.
She must embrace the night. That's not what it says. I'm cheesing, but it did say to protect her son.
Yeah, here I'll read the description right now. Nadia and her 10-year-old son are on an overnight flight from Germany to New York when a group of terrorists violently take control of the plane and threaten the lives of the passengers. Suddenly, Nadia faces an impossible choice. Should she reveal her dark side and the inner monster she has kept hidden from her son for years in order to save him? The hunters become the hunted in this action horror from director Peter Thorwarth. Peter Thorwarth. Starring Paul Baumeister and Dominic Purcell. Okay, so it's a German movie. I don't know how to say any of these names.
Dude, okay, so I gotta say, there has been a ton of we're in America, so foreign film releases on Netflix.
Yeah.
Throughout the last, like, I don't know, it's probably escalated dramatically within the last like 5 or 6 years. And some of them have been absolute bangers. Like, this idea sounds insane, but these effects look fucking awesome.
No, it does look pretty sweet. I will say that it does.
Like, I'm just like checking it out with no volume or anything. It has a really wild look to it, and you know, like I said, the plot sounds a little crazy, but I'm cool with it. I'm along for the ride. I've seen some very interesting stuff on Netflix come out of a lot of other nations.
Yeah,
I'm glad that Netflix extended their reach a little bit in that way.
Yeah, and to go off that, we can actually jump ahead to something I was going to talk about later on in the show in television, but this goes towards movies too. So yeah, that was Blood Red Sky for what we just talked about. If that interests you, go check out the trailer. It does seem kind of interesting, kind of cool. I'll probably end up watching it because it seems kind of bananas. But anyway, something I wanted to talk about was Netflix and Amazon, according now to the French government, must invest 25% of French revenues into local content, which I think is pretty good.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I know Canada's. I know Canada's trying to do a similar thing. That's the thing on paper. Like, ideally, I think this should be a thing. I really hope Netflix and Amazon don't just like say fuck you and leave France. Right. I think we need more places to really hold Netflix and Amazon to this standard because, like you said, like foreign films, like we don't really get like the filmmaking and like streaming has become very Americanized, and when I say that I mean very Hollywood. It's just always been that. Hollywood has always been the center of entertainment for a very long time. It just has been, which has really made the mark. If you have one thing doing very well, if you have Hollywood really pushing forward what makes sense, and like, well, not what makes sense, but like what is good, and everyone kind of just follows Hollywood, you kind of get this stale market, this stale ideation through these movies. But if you kind of have to make these streaming services invest in the places that they're making a lot of money there, they should have to invest into the local culture there, we can start getting better films from around the world that aren't just all like trying to follow the latest trend in Hollywood.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's a good gateway to like get more creative stuff out there.
Yeah,
And like I said, it all seems good on paper. I don't know the ins and outs of whatever deals are trying to be made, but
yeah,
like you said, I hope that nobody backs out of anything. I think that this could be a good deal for everybody
yeah,
because like I said, I've watched a ton of foreign media on Netflix, way more than I ever thought that I would.
exactly. And I mean, if
And
any,
I'm happy to do so.
definitely, and if anything, we've learned from this podcast alone, where we're jumping from, like Hollywood films one week to Korean films the next week to
Hmm.
French films to Italian films. We found it's like it's better to watch. It's better to look at films from all around the world because each of them have their unique view and each of them kind of have their own thing going on that is really great. So
Yeah,
hopefully it works out. I know, like I said, I know Canada is trying to do the same thing. I would really love to see more countries try to do this too. Like I would love for Korea to do this because then we could get more Korean horror out of there, or
yeah,
Japan,
for
or
sure.
anything like that. So hopefully it works out in the end. I know France has had a very long history of really protecting their culture and their arts. I mean, it makes sense. You think of France, you think of arts.
Right.
It's because they've defended and protected their culture, their art culture for a very long time. So hopefully
Well,
it turns out well for them.
yeah, good for them for putting their foot down or whatever, and hopefully,
Yeah.
like you said, hopefully it all goes well.
Yeah. We're actually going to be watching a French film next week, but I'll get into that when we get into 2001.
Nice.
So going from something very passionate about films from all over to be hopefully being really good, we're going to talk about the new Space Jam a little bit.
Okay.
Oh God. Let's see. This
I don't want
I
to
just
watch
want to
this
read the
clip.
article. The article title. In Space Jam, a new legacy when Porky Pig raps, the world weeps.
Damn.
Yeah. So, this article, which I will post in chat, if anyone wants to read it, um, is pretty much going over this new scene that was currently not leaked. It's used for promotional purposes. That is Porky Pig called the Notorious P.I.G. They're totally 100% riffing off 8 Mile in this scene. And Porky Pig lays it down. This movie is going to be so weird. It's going to be so weird, so strange. The more I see about it, the more I see like there's now like a Matrix part of it where like they go into like the Matrix movie. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's coming out on July 16th on HBO Max. I'm probably gonna watch it just to see what it is. But like I
Yeah, like
feel
no words.
it's just so many words. It's just so many. Like honestly, how they created this movie, I think is they just had like one of those bingo ball things where they, like you're just like twisting it and like they're pulling out balls and it has like content on it. It's like Matrix, Porky Pig, 8 Mile. It's like boom, section of the movie.
So is
It's good.
Black Widow out or what?
Yeah. So yeah, we can move on. I don't know. Is Black Widow out? I feel like we're in Schrodinger's Black Widow. Is it out? I don't know. That's a serious question. Is it out?
No.
No, it's
Not
not.
on the well, yes. No. It drops like July 9th, I think, in theaters.
Okay.
But then with Disney Plus Premiere, you can get it, I think, on that day. Otherwise, it'll be on Disney Plus within like X amount of days.
No, I'll just wait for it to go on Disney Plus then.
It could be like a month or two. Just a heads up. Like, I don't want anyone to think that when I said that, it's going to be like the day after it releases. That's probably not the case. That's why Disney Plus Premiere is a thing. They want you to pay for it. So, hold out, pay for it to watch it at home, or go to a movie theater on July 9th, and you should be able to consume that media.
Yeah,
Which I'm still at like a very moderate level of excitement for this. Like I am way more fucking excited for the finale of Loki than I am the drop of Black Widow.
Yeah, I have no interest in seeing the Black Widow movie.
I'll see it, but like I'm just not that hype about it.
I probably won't pay like a movie theater to see it. I'll probably just wait
Mm-mm.
for it to drop in
No, I'm gonna
September or
watch it on
whatever.
Disney Plus. That's my absolute plan right there. I'm just gonna watch it on Disney Plus.
Yeah, I don't. I think
It,
honestly, if all the if all the Marvel movies are gonna just start getting released like a couple months after on
yeah,
Disney Plus, I might just do that. Like,
yeah. Except
obviously
for like
support your local theaters, but I don't care to really
yeah.
pay what like
For
$20
me,
to see the next Marvel
right
film.
now, I'm just not in a position to where I feel comfortable going to a movie theater yet. So I'm
Yeah,
cool with what they're
I mean
doing.
same.
Eventually, maybe with like the big drops, like the new Avengers movie whenever that comes out or whatever, like that'd be cool to see on a big screen. But like beyond
Yeah.
that, like this new Black Widow movie, I'm sure it would look sweet on a big screen, but I'm just probably gonna watch it at home. And I'm mainly watching it so that I can get an introduction to I think her name's Yelena Belova.
The new
And
Black Widow.
yeah, White Widow
Yeah.
and Taskmaster because I assume that they will be showing up again in the next phase of Marvel and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
That's like the main reason I want to consume the media. It's not because I'm like real jazzed about it. It's just so that I can have that introduction to those characters.
Right. I don't know if this is if you feel the same about this, but like recently, like I feel like I went and saw all like the last Marvel movies in theaters because I was like, oh, if I miss this, I'm gonna get spoiled, and I don't want to know what's coming ahead, so I need to go see it. I just don't feel that anymore. I guess I don't know what they're building up to, so I was like, I don't. Cool.
Yeah, I mean, I would be a little tilted if something got spoiled for me, but I'm not gonna rush and go see things to avoid that. And I'm not
Right.
gonna, in that same vein, I'm not gonna like stay off my Instagram or something to avoid
Right.
being spoiled either. Like at one point, it was like I can't go on social media. Like I'll have this movie spoiled for me until I go
Right.
see the movie. Like I'm not even using my cell phone or my computer. I'm like putting things in Discord. Like please, no one talk about Endgame.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
And
I
for
don't
this,
know.
it's like if someone was just like, "Holy crap, the end of Black Widow was this and this," on our Discord, I would just be like, "Whatever."
I just feel like cool. Well, the thing is, in our Discord, I think me and you are the only ones who are going to
True,
be seeing it.
true,
So if anyone did that, I'll be like, wait, what
true.
the fuck?
Holy crap,
How
you
did you
went out
see
of
it
your
before we
way for
did?
this one.
Yeah, what? Get out of here. um,
Oh man,
but
but
yeah,
yeah, it's tough for me because like I want to be excited about this stuff, but um, I think until we get through Loki, like
yeah,
Loki's what I'm excited for right now. And I think that between Loki and like the actual movies of the stage that are coming out,
yeah.
I'm gonna be kind of in this phase, right? Because I don't even consider this Black Widow movie to be totally part of this phase. It seems like it's mostly gonna be about Natasha. And if it is,
Right.
that's
It's in such a weird
cool, I
spot.
guess, but it's kind of removed. But there's also the chance that it's mostly about White Widow, which puts it in this phase, I guess. My
Yeah.
point is, Loki's what I'm excited about. The next stuff I'm excited about is like, is it called Shang-Chi?
Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's probably the next thing I'm like the most hype about. But once Loki's over, I feel like I'm probably gonna feel like I'm chewing on an old piece of gum.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like looking at all the summer releases to see like because
They
much
have
as
a
it
big
sucks,
lineup.
I don't have any really interest in going and seeing any of these films in theaters. I'm kind of like really like disappointed with theaters right now. Two of my favorite independent theaters from this area both went out of business during the
Man,
pandemic. And I've
that's
never really
tough.
it's kind of like concert venues too. Like I don't really want to go to big concerts. I kind of
Right.
always want to go see smaller shows, and it's kind of like the same with that. I don't honestly feel uncomfortable in a packed theater of like 100
Mhm.
people. People are
Yeah.
loud, like they make noise. I just feel uncomfortable in it. So I've always kind of fell back to going and seeing films at like your local art house films or local independent films, um, at your indie theaters. And both of them that I went to are both gone now.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
that's
look,
tough, man.
yeah, it is. So it's like I really have no interest in going to like Imagine or anything. Just
Yeah. I would 100% rather like go see a show at a local bar than go down to Detroit and see it in a huge arena.
exactly.
Um, so
But it's
I
like
feel that.
the Green Knight is coming out on July 30th. I don't
I want
even
to see
know
that
if
in a
like our
regular
local
theater.
big theaters are going to even have that,
Right. I want to
which
watch that on
sucks.
like a projector screen.
Yeah. Maybe I'll bust out my projector. We can have a movie night.
Hell
I do have
yeah.
a projector screen and a bunch of projectors. We could do that actually. Um, own movie
Hello,
theaters.
Tebasar.
Oh,
Tebasar thinks they should have ended with Endgame. Um,
I agree.
I know a lot of people are on the same page as that. It's in the name. You're right. It is. It's written right there. Um, but you know, I I see from the business side of things why they've continued to do this.
It's never gonna die. I mean,
Yeah,
we've
like
talked about that. It's like I
till we
think
were blue in the face.
yeah, we've talked about how like if they never came back after Endgame, I don't think my life would have changed. I don't think I'd be less excited, more excited. Yeah, we got WandaVision, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and Loki, but like even those three things, as much as I liked them, like if they never existed, um, or we never got them, I don't think it would have changed what the Marvel already did.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing. It was like truly an event, and I don't. It's gonna take them another 10 years to like get to that point again.
Yeah.
You know, and as of right now, like I'm not nearly as excited for this next year as I was for like the first year of what became the MCU. You know,
Right.
between like Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk, I was like over the fucking moon excited, ready for the rest of these superhero movies. Holy shit. Now it's like we get these shows and like they're cool, I guess, but like we buckle up, folks. Like you got 9 more years of this shit
Yeah.
probably.
I mean, on that note, like Shang-Chi, like we found out like Abomination was in the trailer. If you
Yep.
would have told me that
Full
like 5 or 6 years ago, I would have been like, yeah, I would have freaked out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay,
Oh,
cool,
cool.
right, cool, I guess.
That's going to be a lot of exposition. And what I really
Yeah,
mean by that is that will be summed up in 2 sentences and never mentioned again.
yeah, absolutely. Let's move on to television. Talk about something, or someone who has been around forever, who is no longer going to be around. That made it sound like they're dead. Conan O'Brien is not dead. But Conan O'Brien had his last night of talk late night.
Again?
But this one's like for real, for real. It wasn't like he didn't get kicked out by some shitty
Is
station
it
this time.
for real, or is it like David Letterman for real? Like
Uh
retired from that and went and did another
well,
cool
he has
thing?
his podcast and stuff, I'm pretty sure. But like
Okay,
he's done with
okay,
like late night talk show.
okay.
He's doing his own thing right now. And I do have to say Conan O'Brien was always my favorite late night show person.
I got nothing bad to say about Conan. He
I
always has consistently been able to make me laugh. Um,
yeah.
and I really am not a fan of like that type of show.
I do not
Except for
like talk
Eric
shows.
Andre. I like
Yeah,
Eric Andre
I
show.
was gonna say the Eric Andre show is the only show I like. That's a late
But
night.
in terms of those like late night interview style talk shows, never have really been a fan. I don't like the medium that
Same.
much.
Same.
But Conan he's always just been a funny guy, and maybe that's because like I've enjoyed a lot of his like other things that he's done.
Yeah. I mean, he wrote
Like
the
he had
best
I
Simpsons episode of all time, the monorail episode.
definitely I knew that. No, I didn't. But I knew
Yeah.
that.
He was a Simpsons writer.
He also has like a stand-up special, I'm pretty sure, or a
Mm-hmm.
few of them.
The stuff he
Uh
does on YouTube is pretty great.
yeah, like he's always been more than just a talk show host for me. Like he's made me laugh in a lot of different ways. He's
Yeah.
funny without getting political. That's true too. That's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't get too over the top with stuff like that. He kind of keeps it
Yeah, I
in
mean, there
where
was
we keep it, like in Hollywood and stuff, like
yeah.
talking
Yeah.
media.
He does his own thing. He does his own thing when all the other talk
Mhm.
show hosts are doing the same old bits over and over again, just kind of like repeating after each other. Conan's always kind of just did his own thing, which fucking rules.
Speaking of Conan, I actually saw a commercial recently. Jay Leno has a new game show or something coming out.
I don't care.
Which is why I asked about what type of retirement we're talking about here with Conan. Like, is he just going to go to a beach forever? Because I'd still like to be seeing more of him and doing other stuff, even if it's him on a game show or him doing some other stuff. Like, the only reason I brought up Jay Leno is because that's what he did. You know, he stopped doing late night stuff and he went and made a car TV show, and now he's got a game show and all this other like random stuff. I want that out of Conan. I'd rather see him do stuff that he enjoys. Like, I really like comedians in cars getting coffee with Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah.
So stuff like that I enjoy out of people that are funny people.
Yeah. Like I said, he has a podcast. I think he's gonna still be doing stuff on YouTube and things. So like he's still gonna be around, but like his late night show is no longer.
I want him to do what David Letterman did and just disappear for like 4 years and come back with like a huge red beard. Just an enormous red beard.
I mean, I would like that too. Absolutely. But hell yeah. So good on you, Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, good for you, man.
Now
shout out Conan O'Brien. Come on the podcast.
Yeah, come on the podcast. You have a podcast. We have a podcast. Come talk about stuff on ours.
We'd love to collab. We'll be on your podcast. You come on our podcast.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go forward to some Lord of the Rings news, still in television. So Lord of the Rings is still in this weird place. What I'm talking about is Lord of the Rings Amazon show, season 1. They've been filming it for a bit, and we've been getting reports from actors not really knowing when the filming is going to be done. It's kind of like what I wrote, Lord of the Rings series stuck in a Groundhog Day scenario. It's like it sounds like no one really there knows how much longer they're going to be working on it for season 1.
Oh no. We're just filming. Shut up.
Yeah, it says Lord of the Rings TV actor has no clue when season 1 ends filming. We've been here a long time.
So with this budget, they're obviously just going to try to like film everything all at once.
I guess. He also says it is a bit nebulous at this point. They'll let us go when they're done with us.
Man.
Yeah.
Good luck, fellas. Good luck, everybody on cast.
Yeah,
Have
just
fun.
stuck in New
Hopefully
Zealand
they're
forever.
Enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I don't know what the point, like, how they're doing and everything, but I hope they're having fun, because it sounds like you might be in it for the long run.
I mean, yeah, honestly, it sounds like the cast had to sign multi-season commitment deals and all that kind of stuff. But I think it's just kind of funny that they're like stuck in Groundhog Day scenario in New Zealand right now. Mm-hmm. Not really knowing when the filming is going to be done, but knowing that they are filming.
Yeah, at some point, like your days must just blend together.
Right, and you're pretty much in Middle Earth like when you're in New Zealand. So
it's true.
So you really like how many people are going to come out of here thinking they're still in Lord of the Rings universe when they move back to England?
When they go home, they're going to be like David when he goes past Jupiter. Like
Exactly. Yeah, so I think if I'm remembering correctly, and even this article says I think we're getting the first season in like 2022, so next year. But actually, if they haven't stopped filming yet, I don't even know if that's true.
Maybe they're doing it like they did the movies, where they just film continuously until they're finished.
Yeah, I don't. Well, I mean, Amazon is spending $1 billion on it.
Oh,
that's not true, but I think it's close to that.
Amazon, spend $1 billion on me.
Yeah, just give us money. Give our podcast. Jeffrey Bezos, when you go to space, write me and Shayne in your will.
Yeah, thank you. Please. Yeah. Also,
yeah.
When did we start calling him Jeffrey? Like, forever, I've heard Jeff, and then in the last week, I've heard, like, so many people call him Jeffrey.
It's because Bo Burnham, in his new special, wrote 2 songs where he says, Jeffrey Bezos! Jeffrey Bezos! That's absolutely why. I just realized that you're right. I've never called him Jeffrey Bezos before. Bo Burnham's broke my mind.
Forever I've heard Jeff, but just in the last week, I've heard so many people call him Jeffrey.
It's 100% because of Bo Burnham.
It's Big Daddy Bezos.
It's Big Daddy Bezos, yeah. Before you go into space, us, please.
Yeah, write us down. At Ruining Movies.
Yeah. We'll figure out the legality later.
Just connect us with your legal team, it'll be fine.
Yeah, alright. Well, let's move on to the last piece of TV news we have before we talk about Loki's episode 3 and 4, and that is Chainsaw Man. Did you watch that trailer? If not, watch it right now. This is the first anime we're talking about, I think.
No, we talked about the Lord of the Rings anime.
Oh, I guess so. That is true.
We talk about Cowboy Bebop like every episode.
Yeah, that is true. We do talk about Cowboy Bebop a lot.
No audio, just watching.
So anyway, Chainsaw Man is a new anime coming out. Shout out to my brother for actually showing this to me. The animation looks beautiful. And it is a anime about a guy who gets like killed, and he comes back as a chainsaw demon guy called Chainsaw Man, and he has to like take out the Yakuza. I think it's the Yakuza kills him. But I gotta say the style looks so cool.
Yeah, it looks really.
I'm going to watch this. I don't really watch anime, not because I have anything against it, just because I don't know where to watch it or what to watch. There's so much of it. But like this looks so insane. I'm going to watch it.
Sweet.
And the animation looks so good.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Makes you think of like
Man.
Love, Death, Robots or something.
Yeah, just wait till you get to. Have you got to the end of the trailer yet?
Yeah.
Dude has like 2 of his hands are chainsaws, and then like his forehead has a chainsaw. Yeah.
Sign me up.
The soundtrack's really cool on it too, but we're watching it without sound right now.
Let's set up a Cowboy Bebop community watch party. That sounds fun.
Yeah, we've been talking about doing TV shows like episode 1s eventually, so I think Cowboy Bebop will probably be like our first one we do. Because we talked about it so much. But yeah, so Chainsaw Man. I'll watch that. I don't usually get excited for anime. But it looks...
Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool.
Pretty cool. Means I'm going to have to steal my brother's Crunchyroll account. When is it coming out?
I also don't get overly hyped about anime. I really like Dragon Ball Z and stuff, but like it's just not a medium that's ever...
Every time we talk about anime, me or you either like I say it, but I really like Dragon Ball, or you say I really like that's how much you could tell we don't watch anime.
We were just talking about like the groups of people in our Discord, right? Like if someone spoiled Black Widow, I'd be like, holy shit, someone other than Farm Goat spoiled Black Widow. And if one of us said like anything about anime,
right,
it would probably just blow away everyone else on the Discord.
Yeah, they'd be like, what? That is true. Blue, I just got into anime. It is a medium I need to get into. I've seen all the I haven't seen all of them, but I've seen most of the Studio Ghibli movies.
I've seen a couple of those. They're good. I haven't been disappointed with anything that I've watched, but it's kind of like it's hard to find something to compare it to. It's like a candy jar, right? You can grab anything, and like
so many.
Some of them are good, but some of them are gross, you know. And
right.
I don't mean literally, but some of them I guess are literally as well.
I feel like some of them are, yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, you know, it's hard to know where to start, and I've had some really fantastic recommendations. Like, I'd like to watch Demon Slayer, and I'd like to watch
like My Hero Academia. And,
I've heard that's fantastic. I did actually watch a lot of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
I saw Yuri on Ice. I like that one.
But that was Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood was really cool. I did not watch that one.
Yeah. So Chainsaw Man, check it out. Check out the trailer.
Chainsaw Man.
I hope that's the theme, Chainsaw Man. All right, so let's talk about Loki episodes 3 and 4. I think we kind of just talk about them together, because they both blended together in my brain. I can't really tell you what happened in 3 and what happened in 4. I can just tell you what happened in 3 and 4.
Exactly what happened in 3 and 4.
All right, take it away then.
All right, there they were in the supermarket in the end of episode 2. Yeah, that's when female Loki got revealed. So in episode 3, It starts off like immediately with Loki following her, but they go to the TVA and then they start fucking shit up, and then Loki gets them out of there by transporting them to Apocalyptica world,
Yep.
where we have like lots of exposition and narcissism, and like it starts to come together that maybe Loki likes Loki because who else would he
So
like?
fucking weird. What? How do you stand on that? I know a lot of people have had takes on that. What's your
I think
take
it makes
on it?
total fucking sense.
I
I read a
it's
comment
fucking
online
weird.
that just like zinged it for me. They were like, "Who else could Loki really love but himself?"
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of weird, but I don't totally hate it. They've actually done like a lot of things with uh Loki's character this go around. You know, they've
Yeah.
mentioned things about like his sexuality and his gender, and they've like
Yeah.
really specified some things. So like, you know, I can understand why they're taking the avenue, but I don't really see it ending in a super positive way. Like, I don't know. I
You
don't know.
mean
I don't hate it.
dating yourself?
You know, whatever. There's a, as my father would say, there's an ass for every seat.
Fair. Okay, so this is okay, before we go on, this is kind of my thought on Loki in general, because it's been kind of like in my mind um because I've been also kind of like learning about Germanic paganism and stuff as of late, just because it's something I'm interested in. Um this is like the equivalent if Marvel made a TV series called Jesus.
Okay, interesting. Yeah,
Well, not
maybe.
even interesting, it's just like the truth. Like
Yeah,
Loki was a deity that people worshipped,
yeah.
like a real life deity. Um, just like when you think of it like that, it's like okay, it's kind of weird, kind of strange.
Okay, I see what you're saying. When you said, my mind immediately went to trying to figure out like how the story of Loki so far has followed the story
No,
of Jesus, but now I understand, right? Because of that. I
and the
get it.
only
I
reason I
totally
bring
understand what you're saying.
that up is because there's been this weird copyright thing where Disney has been kind of like trying to pull like things from like Loki and Thor, like off of Etsy shop. Like if someone has like makes Thor hammers or something, or like Thor symbol, and they're like, oh, that's Disney related. It's like, no, it's not. You did.
Right. That's
It's
not
a
Disney
fucking religion.
copyrights.
It's someone's religion and
Right.
religious views.
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah. I just
Hmm.
have been thinking about that a lot lately. Just strange. Strange in a culture that, like, you could never make a Jesus style show like that.
Right. That's true.
But here we are having Thor, Loki, and Odin, three,
Yeah.
like, pagan gods. And they're just
Very true.
marvelized. I don't know what I mean by bringing that up. I just have been thinking about it a
No,
lot
but you
lately.
make a good point. It's just funny how like where my brain went. I was like, wait a
Yeah.
second, is Loki the story of Jesus? Anyway, so to round this out, episode
Yeah.
3, they're on an apocalyptic world, hiding from the TVA. They fuck up. They can't escape. They break their movement thing, and they accept their fate. And it kind of ends in a way where they're like, things are bad. And then
Yep.
in episode 4, it opens up with the act of actual ultimate narcissism, where like they really are getting close, holding hands. Like Loki clearly is like fallen for Sylvie a little bit here, and then
Yeah.
their romantic bond revealed them to the TVA, who came and saved the day, of course. And then uh, lots of stuff happened in the 4th episode. That was the big one.
Yeah.
Um, we got to finally meet the quote unquote timekeepers, who were
Yep.
revealed to not be such.
The robots.
Yeah, I mean, they probably are that, but not what
Not
everyone
those
thinks
ones.
they
Those are
are.
robots.
Also, go Owen Wilson. Like, what a fantastic job he's doing in this show.
Yeah.
Um, first of all, I'm really like biased because I fucking love Owen Wilson. But am
That's
I
fair.
wrong in saying that he's just doing a fantastic job?
I mean, I think he's doing a good job for sure.
Okay. I really like his role in this show, and we mentioned it before. His chemistry with the rest of the cast is like really solid. I've been enjoying it. So they aren't keeping it low key. Not But yeah, basically near the end of the episode, our Loki is vaporized, and immediately, you know, people are
Yeah, we
sad.
see the other Lokis.
But then there's a post-credit scene where they reveal more Lokis.
Yeah.
So, which is cool because it sort of answers a question I've had all along without really answering a question I've had all along, which was two questions wrapped in one. First of all, being, does that thing actually kill people when they
Right.
prune them? And then the second follow-up question would be, if it's not killing them,
For sure.
what's it doing? Because even in like Infinity War, my immediate thing was like, they're not dead. They're probably somewhere else.
Right. It's very, very rare that Disney or even comics in general kill off someone.
Right, especially in that type of way.
Yeah.
To just have him be like deleted from reality right in front of us. Like if they were gonna do it for real, they would have done it like they did it in Endgame or Infinity War.
Yeah.
Because that was like that felt definitive.
Right, it felt thematic and all that stuff. Like they put a lot of emphasis on that death.
I can't remember the man's last name, but he played Herschel in The Walking Dead.
I know who you're talking about. I don't know who he is though.
I'm looking him up.
Okay.
Because he is like an astounding actor. R.I.P. He
he did pass away, didn't he?
Passed away a few years ago. Scott Wilson was his name.
Okay.
He said on the death of his character in The Walking Dead, that he was happy that it was as gruesome as it was because the more time on screen that you spend dying, or like the more glorious or gruesome that it is, it kind of shows like the weight of your character, like how much they've contributed to what's going on, and whether or not that's true. Like I could understand that for him in that moment because it's like his character was pretty prominent and he did have a pretty gruesome death.
Definitely.
And Loki was the same. Like he was a huge part of Thor's life, and he had a pretty brutal fucking on-screen, in-your-face death.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty much started off Endgame.
Yeah, solid way. Anyway, I don't actually have a ton to say about Loki because I feel very like on the ropes with the show. I feel like they've done a really good job so far, but I think I don't want it to. But in the back of my head is always like this: will it suffer from what we'll
Marvel
call
syndrome.
the Maximov conundrum? Because WandaVision was so rad, and then it was so.
And then it wasn't. Yeah, I kind of feel the same about it. Like right now, I've been enjoying it. I'll watch it tomorrow. I'll watch it this morning. Yeah, I don't really have too much to say about it.
I'm excited for the rest of the ride. I just don't want to be disappointed by it.
It's like weird. I like don't want to give my takes on it just because like I can open up
any
social media. Not even flack. I mean, we do get a lot of flack whenever we talk about Marvel or Disney. Every time. It is really funny. If you go on our YouTube page, you'll see the most disliked ones are whenever Shane and I talk about Disney for some reason.
It's cool, man. Y'all like Disney. It's okay to like stuff.
Yeah, we talk about it all the time. It's okay to like stuff. There's so many people having takes on it. I just don't want to have a take on it, which sounds really hipster of me. I just don't. Someone has my take out there. Go find it.
I don't want to conform.
Yeah.
My main take right now is just I'm excited for the ride. I just don't want to hate the ending.
Yeah. 2 more episodes. So
we'll see. I can't really say that I'm confident that I won't, which is also kind of sucky.
The 2 more episodes. We'll see. I mean, you're right. I'm gonna be so disappointed if the last episode is just a fight.
Yeah. It's good. Oh God, laser beams.
If we get laser, well, at least they'll win an MTV award if it is just laser beams for best fight of the year.
Well, it's just that we're primed for like a perfect thing, right? Like both Loki and Sylvie can just be like green blast.
Yeah. Exactly.
The last time we had a character that could, she did, and it was awful.
Right, one of the most powerful goddamn characters in all of Marvel comics.
Let us take yet another lesson from 8.5. Maybe Loki Laufeyson should take a lesson from 8.5. Just because you can do it does not mean you should.
Exactly.
Don't just start shooting fucking laser beams in episode 6, please.
So yeah, I mean, like it fit in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, but just please don't. It's so good right now. It just please don't ruin it. Lando, just even if it's like if it's an average ending and they don't do it, I will take that over them
wizard
doing
fights.
It. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid wizard fights. All right, cool. Well, that was the news, everyone.
Now
You know,
on sports with Shane.
Yeah, what was there anything sports related?
Not really, but Conor McGregor, Justin Poirier 3 is sometime this month. I'm pretty sure.
3 is that like the trilogy?
It is the trilogy, the defining fight. They're 1-1, so
nice.
It ought to be a banger.
Nice.
Because Conor fricked up Poirier in the first fight, but
both
then
making
Conor,
$1 bajillion.
Conor got fricked up. Yeah, most likely. 1 bajillion,
nice,
I think, was the
cool.
sign.
1 bajillion each. Nice. Hell
yeah.
Cool. All right, let's talk about this movie. So this week we watched this little-known movie. You might have heard of it, called 2001: A Space Odyssey, the 1968 Stanley Kubrick directed, produced, and co-written film. The other writer was Arthur C. Clarke. For those who don't know, I don't feel like his name is brought up enough when we talk about 2001. Like Arthur C. Clarke, who is one of the most famous sci-fi writers of all time. He is up there with Isaac Asimov and Philip K. Dick. They wrote this together, and it's a film.
It's a journey.
We're about to get into it. It's a journey. This was your first time seeing it, right?
It was, and sometimes it didn't feel like I was watching a film. It felt like I was watching a show, not like a TV show, like a Pink Floyd Laser Light show. you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And, it felt like an epic, thing.
If you actually listen to Dark Side of the Moon and watch 2001,
oh my gosh,
I'm pretty sure, when they get to Jupiter, it syncs up perfectly with the song, On the Run.
Interesting. I actually have a DVD copy of The Wizard of Oz overlaid with Dark Side of the Moon.
Nice. You can really put Dark Side of the Moon on anything.
I should lend it to you because it's actually fucking crazy.
I'd watch it.
It perfectly lines up. It's weird.
Yeah. Anyway, actually, before we get into our opinions, I think this is a film we actually need to break down and talk about what it is. Before we should give our opinions. So for those who didn't know, 2001, like I said, is a Stanley Kubrick film. If you don't know who Stanley Kubrick is, one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. I don't even think that's a controversial statement to make. The Shining, 2001, Clockwork Orange, Dr. Strangelove, Eyes Wide Shut. There's only like 2 more.
Did he do Apocalypse
Full Metal Jacket?
Not Apocalypse Now, Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that this movie is probably the reason that he got so much attention over the moon landing?
Oh, absolutely. People saw this and saw the moon landing.
Okay, because I watched this and I was like, wait, this came out in 68?
Yeah.
This is starting to put a whole puzzle together from an era that I didn't live in.
It's 100% why people think Kubrick faked the moon landing.
I always wondered, why the fuck do people think that this guy did this?
It's because of 2001.
Okay, it all makes sense now.
But yeah, so 2001 is the film directly after Dr. Strangelove. For those who don't know, we'll watch Dr. Strangelove one of these times. It is Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb is the full title. It is it's like, what would you consider it? I'd consider it like a satire, dark comedy.
Dr. Strangelove?
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Okay. So I would consider it a dark satire comedy. And Kubrick, after he made that, he wanted to, instead of doing another one of those films, he wanted to make a film that explored humanity and evolution and technology and how we evolve along technology. So he went on and started writing, or coming up with the idea for 2001: A Space Odyssey. He got the main idea from Arthur C. Clarke's short story, The Sentinel. The Sentinel is a story about how humans find a strange monolith on the moon, and it is the monolith acts as a beacon to let this super advanced these super advanced aliens know that we were ready, that we have advanced enough to come and like give us more technology. That's what the Sentinel was about. Stanley Kubrick took that. He actually got Arthur C. Clarke to help write the screenplay, and from that we got 2001: A Space Odyssey. So, 2001: A Space Odyssey is a strange film. That's all I'm going to say. No, I'm kidding.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. And what I mean by it's a strange film is, first of all, it doesn't really have a main character. The main character...
Okay, that's true. Thank you. You just confirmed my beliefs throughout like most of that movie.
Is humanity. This is a story about monkeys made by a monkey for monkeys. It is literally a film about humanity. People can argue that part 3 is really, like, you could consider, like, Dave being the main character. I don't really consider him being the main character. I just considered him being a large part of part 3.
That was who I settled on as the main character. Was
right,
Dave.
And most people do, and I can see why. Like, he's the most prominent. I think he has the most screen time with, like, dialogue, and he does have the conflict with the quote-unquote main protagonist of this film, which is HAL 9000.
Mm-hmm.
But let's how do we get to there? So the first part of 2001: A Space Odyssey is the dawn of man. It is 22 minutes of monkeys, ape-like humanoids, and just doing ape-like humanoid things. We see them fight over territory. We see them hunting and gathering and fending themselves off of the animals that are kicking their ass. That's why there's that cheetah there, jaguar cheetah.
Yeah,
it's a cheetah. And this is like the part of the movie where it's like before we have technology, before we have tools, we are just animals.
Before 4 times, we actually witnessed them like discover tools.
Yes. Yes. So exactly. So the dawn of man. That segment. Most of it is we're just kind of observing, watching these ape-like humans. Eventually.
Can I just say?
Yep.
Well, we're on the topic of the dawn of man specifically. Yep. I ran into this thing the last few times we've done ruining movies. We've done them through Amazon Prime, and I've rented these movies. And this pop-up has popped up that's like, blah, 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 something about standard definition. If it doesn't work, it might not work on your screen, and blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just hit the X every fucking time, just as I did this time. So it came up, and I was like, fuck you, click away. And the first, like, 4 or 5 minutes of this movie is just a black screen with no audio.
There is a lot of
then there's like droning sounds.
Yeah.
For a minute, and I was like, I actually legitimately stopped my movie and exited Prime and like restarted my browser. I was like, why is this movie not working?
Yep.
And it was working. It tricked me.
A lot of shots like that. Fun fact: the monolith and the actual film screen are the same dimensions. Kubrick did it on purpose.
Man, the film screen.
You know, like the two black bars that you look at a film, like the dimensions of the rectangle is the same dimensions as the monolith.
Nice.
Whatever that means to you, you can figure it out yourself. That wasn't to you, that was to the audience.
Yeah. So sorry to keep interrupting.
You're good. You're good. Interrupt as much as you want. Ask questions. I've seen this film many times, and I know a decent amount about it. Anyway, we watched the apes. Like I said, go through their life, and then they're all sleeping, and then Monolith appears. We get this great scene of them all going around and getting close enough to touch it, but not touch it. Getting close enough to touch it, but don't touch it. Then they touch it. And then through the monolith, they learn to use tools. After that, we see the apes using bones to kill their enemies, to claim territory, and to make their life better. This is Kubrick's way of being like, hey, this technology and man evolved together. Another fun fact, a lot of fun facts. Stanley Kubrick, when he went out to make this film, he said he wanted to make a modern day myth. And I think he did. This film is religious in a sense, and it's like it gives a reason for humanity, gives a reason where we're going. There's a lot of godlike imagery in here. Omnipresent beings and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So anyway, The Dawn of Man ends with probably the most famous cut of all time. The ape throws the bone, the tool, into space. We see it in slow motion, and then match cut. We're in space. We're now on the mission to the moon. Another fun fact is that spaceship we first see when we go from bone to spaceship is a nuclear-powered spaceship. That is Stanley Kubrick comparing the original tool we had, like clubs and bones, to the most modern weaponry we have, which is nuclear bombs. So, club, nuclear bombs, that is what that match cut is. And then we go to part 2 of 2001: A Space Odyssey. It follows a group of scientists who have found a monolith on the moon.
Yeah.
A big part of this is the scientists sitting around in a room talking about their discovery, how we can't really let people know that this discovery is going to change everything. It's pretty slow. It's a pretty slow segment. I like it. We also, one of the other aspects of 2001 that comes up a lot is the idea of birth, the birth of humanity. Birth is like a main scale thing, like the birth of the universe, but then also there's a lot of birthdays throughout this film. So,
True.
Part 2, we see the main scientist talking to his daughter about her birthday.
Or about her birthday.
Yeah.
I will say, like, the second part of this movie, it is kind of slow.
Yeah.
But it's like, it almost felt like a Tarantino flick, where it was
Absolutely.
like so dialogue focused, but the dialogue was like affecting me in a way I didn't anticipate, right? So as soon as the second act started, mind you, first act, I got in my mind, this movie is by Stanley Kubrick, and it is rated fucking G.
Yeah, it's rated G.
But I just watched an ape get murdered with a bone, so I'm kind of in a weird spot now, and now it's like
back
super...
in the day were weird.
True. And it's like so dialogue focused, but throughout that whole second part, like, my stress was increasing.
Yeah.
Because, like, everything that they were talking about up until this point was, like, so mysterious and weird. And I've already seen this monolith, and I kind of have an idea that it's going to, like, play a bigger part. But you never really know exactly what's going to happen. And, like, the way that things are set up and the score, it just had me, like, of anxiety building.
It is a very tense film.
The second act.
It is
even when they were chomping on their sandwiches like cows. Frank's like eating his stupid ham sandwich. I was like, dude, you gotta stop chewing with your mouth open, guy. You're on set.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
But it was still on edge like the entire time. It was kind of weird.
It's this thing that Kubrick and Arthur C. Clarke do with this film, and also the soundtrack helps along with this, and the cinematography. Is like there's so many questions raised by this film. The monolith is so strange because it doesn't really give us an answer. Which I think Kubrick, this is one of the better representations of a alien life force. Like, this movie has the best interpretation of that because it is so strange that, like, we can't comprehend it. The viewer can barely comprehend what is happening. We know that it's whatever it is crazy and mind changing and reality breaking and stuff, but it's just a rectangle made out of some shiny material that we don't know how it works, but we know that it is this great thing of great importance.
Yeah.
So yeah. Part 2, we go all the way through, and I think we get to my favorite shot of the entire film is when they're all walking down to the monolith in the moon crater.
Yeah, more anxiety. Again with the score.
It's so slow.
And, like, feeling like my head's in a fucking space helmet through, like, most of this. Like, so it started then when they're, like, all walking, but then, like, the majority of the third act, it feels like it. I was watching it with headphones on. It felt legitimately like I was inside of Dave's space helmet.
Yeah, the sound design is so good.
It's really unnerving.
It really is. So the second part ends with them all getting close to the monolith and touching it, and it making a really high pitched noise that makes them all, like, grab their ears and stuff. What that means in the story is, I'm going to try to describe the story like how Arthur C. Clarke and Stanley Kubrick described it. That is the part where the monolith is currently sending a signal to let the aliens know that humanity has advanced this far. That they'll probably be going to the next...
beyond Jupiter.
Yes. Yep. So
Yeah.
it sends the humans to Jupiter, but it also is a beacon, like being like, oh, this civilization has made it this far. You can also there's also a debate online that like did the monolith also give humanity the ability to make AI? Which I'm just going to quote Arthur C. Clarke right now. Arthur C. Clarke pretty much said that if you left 2001 knowing what everything about the movie was about, you watched the movie wrong. You're not supposed
Yeah,
to have
I
all the
read
answers. You're not supposed to have all the answers. You're supposed to watch 2001: A Space Odyssey and understand it for the most part, but like there's a lot of things that happen in this film that you just can't get answers for. And I know like that's a cop out for a lot of filmmakers, but like I think it's perfect for 2001.
Makes total sense.
Before we get into the third act, there is something I also want to talk about with the cinematography of this film. That Kubrick does in all his films so well that it gives me such anxiety as a filmmaker, and that is how long he can hold shots.
Yeah.
88 minutes of this film are without dialogue.
Wow.
And yeah.
That's crazy.
And I can tell you, as someone who has made films in the past, the anxiety of having an audience watch your film and you thinking that your shot is holding too long because people are getting bored is like an absolute constant fear I always have. And I try to push my shots for a very long time because that's kind of like my style. I really like long shots, but like it's so nerve-wracking. And Stanley Kubrick will literally be like, yeah, so there's like the space and a spaceship moving across it. Just like running for like 20 minutes. It'll be fine. And it works. And you're just like, I'm in.
So we've talked about this before and how like sometimes in movies I really don't enjoy long shots like that. But like since I've made that statement, it's like we've made it a fucking point
to watch all the
to keep picking movies that do this really, really well.
Yeah.
And we have, and I really liked it in this. At some points, after watching it, it's like I enjoy it. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah.
But I could understand how there's like a part of movie viewers that view some of these things as like pretentious or over the top or too drawn out or boring.
Yeah.
Like I get that, but at the same time it's like it's beautiful and it's grabbing me and it's like keeping me in this moment. Again, not everybody's going to watch this movie with headphones on. I did and it worked really well. It had just this crazy effect. And as someone who's come out on this podcast and said like these aren't my favorite types of shots, these are some of my favorite shots in the movie.
They're so good, and it just shows you how confident Stanley Kubrick is with his filmmaking, that he can literally just hold a shot for that long and not really worry about people thinking it's like too long. I know like the general reception for 2001 when it first came out, a lot of people were like, this is really pretentious, very long. Like way like what is he doing? This is just like feels like very patting himself on the back. I completely disagree with that. I think everything he does in this film is perfect.
And I'm with you. Like I disagree, but like I can understand why certain viewers would think that.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, your average movie viewer that's like, "Fuck it, let's go see Transformers," probably is gonna get bored in some of this. But like I really appreciated what was going on throughout the whole thing.
Absolutely. It is one of those films I think everyone who like wants to learn more about filmmaking or even like is like has any interest in film in general and is like, I want to learn about some of the greatest. Like I think this is a film you should watch, but I don't think it's a film that everyone needs to see. Like everyone ever needs to see. I don't think a lot of people would like this movie, which I know is like weird to say because it is one of the most popular influential movies of all time. But it is like, I know a lot of people where I could be like, hey, go watch this. And like, it is very long and you really have to like really dedicate yourself to it. And that's not me patting us on the back for watching it. It's just, it's a different type of film.
Yeah. Like I could see how someone, especially in today's age where, you know, you have a cell phone 6 inches away from you all the time. Yeah. I could see how someone would get distracted watching.
And it's a long ass movie.
It's a long time. Some of the shots are kind of long. And like you said, there's, what did you say? 88 minutes of no dialogue?
88 minutes of no dialogue in 2001.
So, like, I can understand how, you know, literally this week, a movie came out that had more fucking explosions and aliens than I've seen in the last like 10 years. That's what we have to do to like feed these short attention spans of most people.
Yeah.
But
Actually,
in this movie,
yeah, I just looked this up too. So there is no dialogue in the first 25 minutes. In the last 23 minutes, along with that, there's all like you add those together, then there's still 88 dialogue-free minutes, including the 25 and the 23, which also can tell, like, if you tell someone to watch this movie and they don't know what they're expecting and they just watch 23 minutes of monkeys, I can understand why you'd be like, I don't want to watch this.
Yeah, this is a little bit much for me. I get it. But, like, I had a good idea of what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
I didn't recognize, like, actually how little dialogue there would be. I mean, there's basically 2 conversations in the second act. And then, like, the third act has the most conversation, and it ain't much.
Yeah,
it's mostly fucking Dave breathing in his helmet.
That's the thing, is, like, whenever you kind of see 2001 represented in, like, popular culture or, like, modern day, like, media, is like, because, like, every show ever references 2001, pretty much. They always reference Hell.
Yeah.
And Hell, the AI robot, is, like, actually kind of a smallish part.
Yeah, that's true.
To the film.
They always do the Dave thing. I cannot do that, Dave.
I can't do that, Dave.
But I think that, I think Community's joke on this movie might have been one of my favorites.
Yeah.
That was really well done. But like you said, I have seen this movie in so many like pop culture references and different things. So seeing it really now for the first time and like seeing some of the real iterations of the jokes that I've seen in other media that I like was kind of awesome.
Absolutely. So let's move on to part 3, which is arguably, I can't even say arguably, the most talked about part of this movie, because people love talking about the 4th part of this movie, which is understandable on the last part. But part 3 is like the bread and the butter. It is Dave and Hal, and I can't remember the other guy's name right now.
Oh man, it's
Frank?
Not Frank.
Yes, it's Frank.
Frank's from the second act.
Yes.
Right? Isn't? Yeah.
But anyway.
I can't remember.
Yeah, but anyway, it takes place as 16 or 18 months later, after this part 2, where Dave, Hal, and a handful of other astronauts are heading to Jupiter, or past Jupiter, to find the whatever signal the monolith made. And in this part, we get some of the best cinematography of all time. There are shots in this part of the film that, even in part 2, that are like, I honestly know that, like, I know how they did it. Like, I've watched videos on how they do it. I'm talking, like, specifically about, like, when they're rotating, like, in the cylinders.
Yeah.
Or, like, running in the circles. Like,
I find myself asking a lot, like, how are they doing that?
And you have to remember, this was all practical effects.
Yeah.
They built these sets to rotate. And honestly, like, even now that I know how to do it, it's still like, this is fucking magic how you did this. Like,
yeah, it looks so beautiful.
I can't even imagine trying to get those shots, like, ever. And you've made these things happen. You've made zero gravity on Earth feel real.
Yeah.
Which is probably a lot of the reason why people like faking the moon landing.
Yep, that's why they hit him up. That was what I thought. I was watching this shit and I was like, this is 1968. We haven't really done anything like this too much, but like he seems to have a pretty good grasp on what's going on in space.
Yeah, really.
But anyway, you were right. It is Frank and Dave are in the third act.
Another fun fact. Go ahead.
I'm looking, like, as soon as I opened IMDb, the trailer was in the image, and it's one of my favorite shots from this movie, which is when Dave is asking Hal to open the doors, and he's like, you can tell that he has come to the other side of his realization. It was a maybe, but now it's a definite, and it's just this, like, this staring look from Dave. He's just, like, staring at the camera.
With the lighting on his face.
Back at him. Yeah, it's so beautiful. I'm just looking at it right now. It looks so fucking cool, because when you first meet these characters, they're not like this. They're not these, like, sinister-looking, poorly lit entities that are like about to rage. They're these dudes on a spaceship, and it's sweet. And now you got Dave in this like low lighting, looking like fucking Venom,
Doing
about to like transform.
you have the famous Kubrick stare. For anyone who doesn't know that, it is when the actor lowers their jaw a little bit, and then you have the camera at a higher angle looking down on them. The actor lowers their head a little bit, and then they raise their eyes up. Literally every Kubrick film has it. The Shining is probably the most prominent version of it, but Dave does it.
Cool. I think his name is Kier Dulia.
Yeah,
plays
yeah.
Dave.
I actually watched a documentary with him. Yeah.
It's so just menacing. It's just so cool. I like it. Sorry, go ahead. You watched a documentary about him?
Well, he had a documentary talking about it. Like, he was hosting the documentary talking about 2001 and a lot of how the film was made and stuff, which was really cool. You can find it on YouTube if you type in 2001 documentary. He's actually like the person talking about it, which is really cool.
Nice.
But anyway, yeah, part 3, we're introduced to Hal. Hal is Hal 9000. He doesn't sound like that.
When they say his name, it sounds like hell.
Yeah, he really does. Anyway, Hal is an AI. We get a lot of talk about how he was created, his birth. We find in this, we also have that this mission is also secretive. Only 2 of the astronauts are up. The other 4 have been put to sleep and are going to be awoken when they get to Jupiter. Halfway through, I don't even know if it's halfway through, but on their journey there, their communication sensor array gets messed up. They have to fix it. They're like, what's going on with it? And they learn from the people on Earth, it's like, oh, it's not a problem with the actual ship, it's a problem with Hal. Hal is doing this for some reason. And when they ask Hal, one of my favorite lines, they ask Hal what's going on, he just says human error, which I love that line so much. Because technically it is human error. We created Hal.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, with that, we find out we get this great scene where Dave and Frank are trying to talk about turning Hal off because he seemed to have gone rogue. And they do this like crazy plan to make it so they can't be heard, but Hal, kind of mirroring the whole God thing that Kubrick's going for, is like pretty much omnipotent on this spaceship. He knows what they're saying. He can read their lips. He is the god of this space station.
Technology has surpassed man at this point.
Exactly. So he kills Frank in a very brutal way.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
By shooting him out into space, pretty much. And a fun fact about, not even fun fact, but I guess it is a fun fact. All the space shots are matte paintings, just filmed over. And I honestly think that is the way we should be doing space scenes. I don't care about CGI.
I don't. Beautiful.
Like, I honestly would argue that this is the best looking space film of all time, just because of the matte paintings. There's just something about it. Like, I would take the paintings over CGI space any day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I can agree with that. And he just does such a good job of like making it feel so just devoid of anything. Mm-hmm. Aesthetically, yeah, through the painting, but I have to just talk about the score again, because like as soon as they go into a place where they're, in an airlock or about to go into space, like the audio changes and it feels like you're in the fucking void. And when you look into space, you feel like you are in the fucking void, and it's just so well done. I can't say enough good things.
It really, it's hard. It's like, it's hard to like come here and talk about 2001 and not just gush about it. It really, there's a lot of films people talk about where it's easy to be like, oh, that's overrated, blah, blah, blah. Like, I didn't like it for this reason. Like, I can't come on this podcast and try to be neutral. I truly think 2001 is possibly the greatest film of all time. There's nothing that compares to it. And Kubrick is an artist that deserves to be up there with like Picasso and Van Gogh and Monet. Like, another fun fact, because fun facts are what I do. 2001 is kind of one of the first science fiction films to come out to be a serious film. Before this, you had Flash Gordon and John Carter of Mars. 2001 came out in a time when science fiction films were B movies, like Attack of the Martians or Pulp magazine sci-fi films. Like 2001 came out and was a serious film, a very artful science fiction film. And honestly, without it, we wouldn't get the really great sci-fi like films that came out after 2001.
See the influence. Like as I'm watching this, I'm like, I can see where other media have like pulled influence from.
Absolutely.
Not just pop culture either.
Yeah, just culture in general. Like this is a culture-changing film. I know Christopher Nolan says this is his most influential film, and you can see it in all of his films. I mean, he made Interstellar.
Yeah.
Like I said,
which
I'm
is
not
like
almost.
Like I
said,
almost like this.
I'm not the biggest fan of Interstellar, but Christopher Nolan's Interstellar is just his 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
Yeah.
Very, very. I mean like
Interstellar is just like part 3 and 4 of 2001.
It's a condensed down version, not quite like you said earlier, like a broad scope.
Yeah,
that's kind of what this is.
Yeah. But like a lot, if you find most interviews with directors, they'll bring up 2001 eventually in their interviews and talk about how influential it was. And it's also a great way. I mean, I don't think anyone's having this debate anymore that film is not art. But like, if anyone ever says that, just tell them to go watch 2001.
Yeah. And it's like I said earlier, and I don't want to say this and give anyone the wrong idea. This is obviously a film. Yeah. But I felt like I was experiencing like an event, you know, like a show, like a concert or a laser light show or something like that. Like it didn't always feel like a film.
Right.
Sometimes it felt like an exhibit.
It felt like greater than a film. Yeah.
Yeah, it really felt like just a lot more grandiose than like your average film.
Yeah. So back to 3, we find like Frank's dead. Dave tries to get his body back, which we kind of get this really religious, again, another more religious iconic religious imagery of him like carrying Frank's body with this drone and trying to get Dave to get Hal to open the door. Then that's where we get your favorite scene, and probably what like an amazing scene with Dave's face with the light. Great use of light in this film. Doing Kubrick's there
again, just to see it.
Yeah. Anyway, the most unrealistic shot of the film, which I will, in defense of Kubrick, there is a scene, this next scene, where Dave launches himself through space. Without a helmet. At the time, science said you could do that.
True.
So
also, I mean, the whole like pursuit of Frank. Yeah. I was watching that, and the entire time I was like, "This is for nothing. Like you're never gonna catch him. He's going way too fast."
Right.
And then he caught him, and I was like, "Oh, okay, that's fine. I accept that."
Yeah. In defense of Kubrick and Arthur C. Clarke at the time, that's the popular science said you could do that.
Yeah. Anytime I had like any thought that was like, that's not a thing, I was just like, this is from 1968, Shane. They hadn't even been to the moon yet.
Yeah, they haven't even been to the moon. And another thing about Arthur C. Clarke, not only is he one of the most famous science fiction writers of all the time, he's also an inventor that like helped get people to space. So
that's beautiful. That's awesome.
He knows his stuff. He also really pushed for aliens and going to space and stuff. Arthur C. Clarke.
He probably invented the space helmet.
I don't think so, but anyway, Dave gets back into the spaceship, and he gets to Hal's brain, and he starts unplugging Hal. Hal goes from this very personable, like, please, Dave, no, and like this very like personable like thing that feels like it's like living being, and as Dave is pulling out his memory banks, you watch him go back to humans. Yeah, exactly like that. Which again, so many questions. What does that say? Does that talk about is he removing like tools away from humanity? Is that what Kubrick's trying to say there? Again, this film is very open-ended. You can kind of put your own thoughts into that. But we also get one of the most unsettling scenes of any film ever. Daisy.
That was weird.
And it's just like, ah!
Yeah.
That part still makes me so unsettled every time I see this film.
The There are a lot of like really shaking parts of this movie.
Yeah.
I found myself saying many times like G rating, but like when I knew this was by Kubrick, so I knew that it was going to be like a ride.
Yeah.
You know, and I just didn't really know what to totally expect. As soon as I saw the ape's head get smashed in the first act, though, I was like, okay, I'm buckled in. Like, I can handle this. But then, you know, between this whole like third act, there was so many parts where I was just like, oh my gosh. Like, if I was in this situation, like, holy shit.
Right.
Crazy.
I should also say, Hal is the same shape as the monolith. Again, whatever that means to you, whatever that means to you.
And also, because Hal eradicates the other astronauts, this is Dave, like, getting rid of the only other thing that he could, like, converse with, socialize with, or anything like that. So, basically just spends the rest of the movie alone.
Yeah, and, that's part 3. Part 3 ends with him going into a black hole. That is the monolith. And getting close to Jupiter. I can't remember if that's like that starts part 4 or part 3. I think they're similar.
There's an intermission in there though. Somewhere.
Yes. Oh, that's what I wanted to talk about. We need intermissions back.
Seriously, if I had known there was a fucking intermission, I wouldn't have taken my own intermission 30 minutes before.
I sincerely believe we need to bring intermissions back to films. If your film is over 2 hours, put an intermission in it.
Yeah,
I don't care.
It's stylistic.
Yeah, like the last film I saw that had an intermission is I saw when the Hateful Eight was touring like its actual like film projector version.
Yeah.
Like the full length, like because that movie's like 4 hours long. Like it had an intermission in it and it was great. Bring intermissions back. Like Endgame should have had an intermission in it.
Yes, give me 10 minutes to go absorb this fucking information.
And pee.
And pee.
That's too
mostly
long for a human to sit.
Yeah, and the intermission in this was like 5 minutes or something, roughly. Yeah. Not even like it wasn't that long. But seriously, I stopped the movie probably like maybe like 15 minutes before this.
Yeah.
And like used the bathroom and refilled my water bottle, and then I came back and there was an intermission. I was like, "Fuck! Wish I had known about that. I would have not done that."
Yeah, I honestly, I truly believe, non-ironically, we need to bring intermissions back to movies.
It's a fantastic idea. If I made a movie and it was over 2.5 hours long, I'd fucking put an intermission.
Hell yeah, I would. Anyway, so yeah, there's an intermission, and like earlier, boom. This is the part people talk about a lot. If we see 2001, it is the trippy part. It is so good. We get to experience a black hole. We get to see Dave go through a black hole, which is the monolith. In some of the greatest visuals created in film. Oh, no, I wouldn't say the greatest. There's a lot of film, like experimental films.
For sure, for its time, though. Right. I mean,
the only thing I say,
so ahead of its time.
The only reason I say that is there were experimental filmmakers around the same time there, like Stan Brakhage and stuff, doing the same type of visuals. But I will say this: that kind of visuals for mainstream, even though like 2001 wasn't even like that mainstream, was like pretty amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I was watching something made not 1968.
If you are interested in knowing how those visuals were created, look up slit scan photography. On YouTube or something, and that's how they did it. It's pretty much you make a slit and then like you move it across a image, going back and forth with your camera, and it creates those visuals. But anyway, we watched. It's hard to even like describe this part because you just really need to watch part 4. You watch Dave go through a black hole. He moves through time and space in this very abstract way because how are you supposed to even represent that?
This is the part where I was like thinking about Interstellar.
Right. Interstellar does this.
Yeah, in a very, not exactly a similar way, but like when I try to think of how I would describe those visuals, it's how I would describe these visuals, which is like almost indescribable. Describing it is almost by just saying what it is. He's going through a black hole.
Yeah, with colors.
So it's like an indescribable thing. No one's ever fucking done that. No one knows what it's like.
We don't know what it is. That's why, going back to my comment earlier, this is one of the best representations in like mainstream film that shows the unknowable. Like,
yeah,
you can't make the unknowable. You literally can't show us what we don't know. It's just not how it works. we literally can't do that. So if you do something like this, it's a great barrier to be like, hey, like this experience you're having is supposed to represent the unknowable. So black hole, and then we go into the strangest 23 minutes of film endings ever. What are before I go into and spoil what the fourth and part 4 was actually about, because unfortunately I heard Stanley Kubrick talk about it. I kind of wish I didn't know what it was about. But what do you think it was about? What do you think part 4 was?
I just assumed that it was Dave transcending like human existence into being like an extraterrestrial entity as he like moved from, like, he had gone beyond the bounds of time or whatever. Yeah. And then when he tried to interact with these other forms of himself, he just like, I had assumed in my brain that it was like him transcending through parts of his life into later parts and being like born again as
the Star Child,
a product of this obelisk thing.
For sure. That's kind of like what my original thought was. I thought it was something very metaphysical like that.
All right, cool. Ruin it for me.
Yeah, so I'm gonna say this to anyone. If anyone has their own thought on the part 4 and doesn't want to know the actual part, because even Stanley Kubrick was like, I don't really want to say this, but I think if you are interested in knowing what part 4 is about, because there is this is based off a book, and that's like what actually happens in the book. Don't listen for the next 5 minutes. So you got the ending right, Shane. The transcending part.
Okay. Cool.
Like when he turns into the Star Child, that is what it is about. But the parts where he is in that very Stanley Kubrick room that is all white and has all that really weird French Baroque style art everywhere, that is a human zoo.
Oh.
That entire scene where he is going through the different ages and stuff is him trying to comprehend aliens observing him. That is a human zoo that the aliens have done to observe Dave and humanity and what humans are. It's the reason why that room looks like it was created by someone who wasn't human, but they were trying to put what humans think. Like, it's like if an alien tried to make a room in which they think humans would like.
Yeah. So he just like lived out his life in this room.
Yeah, in this weird time flux. That's why, like, Kubrick said, like, how he's sees himself, like that's how he was experiencing time, because it was so strange to him.
Right.
But in the end, the aliens do transcend him, and he transcends into a Star Child, and that's why you have the baby staring at Earth, because he has become a god pretty much by the aliens to come back to Earth to change it.
And is that what 2010's about?
I don't know. I've actually not seen 2010.
Oh, you asked me like you had seen it.
No, I was joking. I've actually not seen 2010. I actually don't know what it's about, because I don't want to see the sequel to 2001, because I don't think there should be one.
Is it also by Kubrick?
No, but it's no, it's not. I thought Arthur
C.
Clarke.
Yes, it's called 2010. When we made contact.
The year we made contact. Yeah.
The year we made contact.
No, I've actually not seen it.
Okay, interesting. Well, I probably won't.
I just don't. It's one of those movies I don't need to see.
Yeah, I kind of feel that, you know? Like, I didn't really want to see 3 from Hell.
Right, exactly. There's just some films that, like,
I didn't need that in my life.
That you just see, and it's like, I got everything this movie was trying to say. I don't need anything else to add to it. I don't think anything will add to it. It's 8.5. You don't need to add things. You really don't have to make a sequel to 2001. I think they just made a sequel to 2001 is because Arthur C. Clarke wrote a sequel to it, and they based it off the book.
I see.
And that is 2001: A Space Odyssey. If you have not watched it and you've just listened to us, you probably have no idea what we're talking about. So go watch the movie. It's great.
Yeah, I'd recommend it. Check it out.
So, any final thoughts before we ruin this movie?
Can we?
Can we? Yeah, we're going to.
All right.
They voted on it.
I think I got most of my thoughts out there. This was a hard one to, like, I thought it was going to be more difficult to, like, process.
Yeah.
But it wasn't so bad. I was more confused by 8.5.
Yeah, 8.5
in the beginning, at least.
Right. Well, yeah, that is true. Well, 8.5 was more avant-garde. This was more main. This is like, as strange as it is to say, 2001 was still mainstream filmmaking.
Yeah,
it was definitely bordered on experimental filmmaking, and Kubrick's films always have kind of been elevated mainstream filmmaking. But in the end of the day, it is still mainstream filmmaking.
Yeah, not exactly a fair comparison. I'm just saying, like, I anticipated being a little bit more off the rails.
Right.
But it
Right.
it felt just like a journey, like a
Definitely.
Disneyland journey where I'm like on the rails the whole time.
Don't you fucking dare.
And,
don't you dare.
Don't even say Disney.
Don't you utter that word while we're speaking of 2001.
But it was very good. I'm glad that we watched it. I'm glad that I watched it finally. It's been a long time coming.
Hell yeah.
So.
Hell yeah. All right. So for anyone new to the podcast, hi, welcome. This is the part of the podcast in which we ruin the movie. It's in the name of the podcast. We ruin the movie by taking your guys' votes. We have polls in our Discord. You can do !Discord in my chat. I think also in your chat, Shane.
I don't know. Probably not.
All right. You can get a Discord from either of our channels. I'm pretty sure. There you can.
My channel page.
Yeah, you can weekly. You can do weekly. We put out these polls. You vote on them, and that's how we ruin or change the movies or rewrite them. This week we are making a remake of the sequel movie that neither of us have seen. In the genre of drama noir western.
So are we just ignoring the fact that 2010 exists?
Yeah, we're making our own sequel.
Okay, so we're just gonna. It's a drama noir western. And it can't star Dave.
Well, you're right.
How the hell do you make a sequel to this movie? Who voted for sequel?
Well, it was 50% of the people voted sequel, 50% of the people voted remake. So
get them out. Get them out. You're all just trolling.
So let's break down 2001. What makes 2001 2001? Oh God. Did Kubrick ever make a western?
I think so.
All right. Well, he's making one now.
Show is. Yeah, he is kind of a big part of this. What makes it great.
Paths of Glory wasn't. Spartacus wasn't. Lolita wasn't. Barry Lyndon wasn't. No, he didn't. Yeah. So so what makes 2001 2001? Obviously Stanley Kubrick. I don't think another director could have done this. We're bringing him back. He's back in. We somehow
bringing him out of retirement.
I don't think he's ever done a sequel in his entire life.
But for this podcast, he said he'd do anything.
Oh God, we're just upsetting the filmmaking gods right now. Stanley Kubrick is back. He's making 2010, 2002.
2002, a space
2002,
Western.
A Manifest Destiny. And then in the genre of drama, noir, western, I would argue that 2001 kind of has a noir aesthetic to it, because it uses all found. Noir is usually based on the lighting style. I mean, you can also say detective and stuff, but I'm gonna use the lighting style of noir for this film, and it does use like a lot of found light from spaceships. Obviously, I can't really call it a noir because like all those spaceships were designed to be like light the film correctly. Like there weren't real spaceships.
Right.
But we're gonna say for the fact noir, so we'll use the lighting. Drama. I think 2001 is a drama, kind of a human drama.
Yeah.
Western.
I would consider it a drama. Easy. Put it in the West.
Boom. Done.
California.
I think there is. So okay, I'm jumping everywhere. Back to what makes 2001 2001. Stanley Kubrick. A soundtrack, a fantastic soundtrack that uses classical music. Matte paintings for background shots and long shots.
I love the idea of the Old West with like paintings of mountains.
Exactly. You kind of get that in spaghetti westerns that are so great. I also think we don't have a main character. We have this could be the tale of humanity still. I mean, I feel like Kubrick would. Oh God, I'm speaking for Kubrick right now. I'm really just fucking blasphemy against the film gods right now. You could compare Manifest Destiny of the West to the Space Race. That might be something Kubrick brings in. Maybe a monolith is found in Utah. Or this is the sequel, but it's really a prequel because it's about cowboys who found a monolith. Yeah. And that's how they go to the moon. Wait. Actually, that might be something.
I was thinking like generational gaps, right? Instead of like eons between shit, go from like caveman to spaceman. Just go from like cowboy to cowboy to cowboy.
To cowboy from like, yeah, okay, we could do like modern cowboy to like.
My grandpappy was the sheriff of this town. Now I'm the sheriff of this town. But I'm gonna be a better man than him.
You could do like a really focused thing where you kind of do the Dawn of Man Part 1 in the sequel, where it is just like a bunch of people settling the land and building their house, but really with no audio. Kind of like how they did There Will Be Blood. Like the first part of that. Like that could be used, shot in the same way. You could definitely even
settling in Paradise, Texas.
Oh God, we're not doing Tremors.
Tremors.
Act 2 Tremors. Hell yeah. And then I think you could do just to do like a lot of like strange artful connections between the birth of the West. I don't even know what. Maybe
Southwestern aesthetic.
Yeah.
Bull skulls and orange sunsets.
I mean, Mars looks like Nevada.
That's true.
A lot of comparison between Nevada and space in this sequel. Don't know what it means, but it doesn't need to mean anything sometimes.
It doesn't need to mean anything. That's the glory of it. I think we take the same approach with this as they took with that, and it's like, if you understand this, watch it, or if you understand this,
then you're
watching it wrong.
Exactly, you're wrong. And yeah, I'm having a hard time right now.
I told you. That's why I opened this with, can we? Like, we have to. It's our gimmick. It's our job.
It's our job, damn it. Someone has to ruin this movie. So yeah, 2002, a space western.
We did it.
We did it. It's a film about people manifest destiny, people going west. You compare it to space travel and how people change in that way. There's a monolith in Nevada, but is Nevada actually Mars? Who knows? That's 2002. A Western Odyssey. Boom. Movie ruined. Stanley Kubrick's directing it, so it's great. We don't have to describe why it's great. Easily. We don't even have to put actors and actresses because they don't matter. They're not even the main character. The main character is the West.
Yeah, we'll just let Kubrick worry about the details.
Exactly. All right. Well, that was 2001: A Space Odyssey. We ruined it by making it a Western. I hope you guys liked that. For next week,
audience. Quit picking remake and sequel. Jesus.
Well, they only have 3 choices.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
Next week we are going to be staying in the sci-fi realm. We are going to be watching a film that comes out a couple years before 2001: The Space Odyssey. And if you thought 2001 was long at 2 hours and 42 minutes, you were right, because we're going to watch La Jetty, which is 28 minutes long.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, you got me that time.
I know. I was going to try to worry you about how long we were going to watch it. But anyway, next week we're going to be watching La Jetée, a 1962 science fiction feature directed by one of my favorite directors of all time, Chris Marquier. This is an experimental film that I also think has a lot to that sci-fi owes a lot to for making science fiction a serious medium of filmmaking. I'm not going to give too much away about it, but I'm going to say 2 things. The images are not going to be moving. That is not a mistake. This is a film that is uses still images, uses photography and narration.
Good to know.
You can find this film on YouTube, and you probably can find the HD version on like Criterion or something. Bonus homework for anyone who follows along at home: also watch 12 Monkeys.
Okay.
You don't have to. We're not gonna. What?
Can you send me the title?
Yes, I'll send it to you. It's La Jetée. It means the bridge in French.
Okay, I'm also gonna just DM you really quick 12 Monkeys so that I watch that as well.
Yeah, that 12 Monkeys is a film. Watch La Jetée first before you watch 12 Monkeys, but 12 Monkeys is an adaptation of La Jetée that has Brad Pitt in it in the 90s.
Yeah,
I knew
that.
It'll be an interesting comparison. It'll be interesting to talk about because we talk about a lot of remakes and stuff in here, and La Jetée into 12 Monkeys is one of the crazier remakes because they're very different, but using the same concept, and I think they actually do a pretty good job.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I'll check it out for sure.
So yeah, next week we're watching La Jetée. 28 minutes. Yeah. I'm excited. One of my favorite films of all time. But that was Ruining Movies, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed it. For anyone new here or is listening for the first time, this is a live podcast every Tuesday, except the last Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. Eastern. You can either go to my channel, twitch.tv/farmgoat, or twitch.tv/bringtheshayne, which is Shayne's channel, to watch us live. You can interact with us here. You can tell us your opinions. You can tell us what you've been watching. We'll talk about it. It's live. We're doing it live. And yeah, that's it. Shayne, do you have any plugs?
I think you just plugged me, bro.
I think I did. Go check out Bring the Shayne's twitch.tv/Bring the Shayne. He's doing a hardcore Minecraft game right now called Shanecraft that is pretty fun to watch. He does that on Fridays, right?
Yes, sir.
And you can find both of us actually on Mondays, 6 p.m. Eastern, doing Dummies Play, where we do co-op games. We've been currently playing through the new Sea of Thieves Pirates of the Caribbean expansion, which has been a lot of fun.
It's so good.
And yeah, obviously, twitch.tv/farmgoat, check that out. You can also go to my YouTube, youtube.com/farmgoatplays. I just hit 100 subscribers, so thank you guys all for that. You can find all of the gameplay for Dummies Play there. You can also see me try to beat Dark Souls in a series that I'm doing that's going awful. I also have a Battlefield 4 video coming out soon because Battlefield 4 still rules, and I wanted to make a video about it because I'm super hyped for the next Battlefield to come out, 2042.
Hell yeah. And
yeah, that's it. Thank you guys for watching, listening, directly inserting it into your brain through Monolith, however you consume this podcast, you know.
Hell yeah. Touch the Monolith. Anyone else?
That's, if anything you've learned from this podcast, if you see a monolith, touch it.
Do it.
Just touch it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
Finkle wants some dinkle. Do it.
All right. Bye, everyone. Be excellent to each other. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.